Hello and welcome to ITV News Central. On the programme tonight.
This should not be here. You hearing me? This should not be here.
The cash point scam discovered in Birmingham. You think it's faulty, then thieves collect your money.
The money actually comes out, but it gets hidden away. So you assume that it hasn't brought you any money out. So you walk away.
As the West Midlands Chief Constable announces his retirement, he tells ITV Central he'll end on a high.
Really exciting year this year, our big focus on Commonwealth Games. I did the Commonwealth Games 20 years ago in Manchester. It felt a really good time to take the force past that point.
A captivating new performance celebrates the city of Coventry in the cathedral's 60th anniversary year.
People will take a sense of being connected to each other, connected to the city, and also connected to the globe in a more universal way.
And across the Midlands of late, we haven't had anything too dramatic happening when it comes to our weather, but the weekend is ever drawing closer. What's going to happen then? Join me later and I'll let you know.
Good evening. Community activists in Birmingham have shown ITV News Central how they've interrupted several cash point scams over the last few days. They say criminals are targeting outside cash points and trying to steal money, often from the most vulnerable in society.
They found trapping devices on 2 cash points in the city's Alum Rock area, one of which had collected £80 for the thieves. Lewis Warner explains.
I've come over here, I put my card in the cash machine, and have a guess what happens. The card comes out, but no money comes out.
Interrupting a scam in action. This community activist came across an unusual addition to a cash point in Alum Rock.
This should not be here.
He found £80 tucked up inside, waiting for the scammers to come and collect it.
Prompt that out. Take a good look what's here, guys. That's your money.
They put a metal piece on top of the machine where the money is dispensed from. So you put your card in. The money actually comes out, but it gets hidden away. So you assume that it hasn't brought you any money out. So you walk away. And then I know guys have done it twice. Having spoken to people recently about it, they say, oh yeah, Nav, it's happened to me.
Mohammed almost fell victim to the card slot scam. After £80 failed to appear, he noticed something wasn't quite right. He was able to get his money back, but fears others might not.
The people out there who are claiming benefits, and they probably got 10, 20 quid just to pay for the electricity or gas or feed their kids, and they can sleep. They could be sleeping without any heating, without any food. So that way I look at it, to be honest with you. So it's not nice to do something like this.
Research shows around £28 million was lost to cash machine scams in the UK in 2020. That's down from a peak of around £74 million in 2004. Cash is of course being used less frequently now, but there are those who still rely on it.
I have to use cash point. It's easy for me. Otherwise I've got to get on the bus to the bank.
Do you have to use the cash point?
Yeah, I use all of them all the time this month, but never happened with me. I always check, that's it.
I always check the machines lock. I check it underneath, so no devices are there.
The post office, which runs this machine, says we take this sort of crime very seriously indeed. We have worked with a company to develop an anti-cash trapping device that can be retrospectively fitted to a cash dispenser. These are being rolled out to branches. Nav says the money he found has been donated to charity. So the next time you go to get cash out, be cautious and report anything unusual. Lewis Warner, ITV News, Alum Rock, Birmingham.
Well, we approached West Midlands Police for a statement about Mr Sadiq's discovery. They said they haven't had any crime reports about this scam yet, but they do say you should always check if a machine has been tampered with or if anything looks suspicious.
And if you head to our website tonight, that's itv.com/central, you'll find more details on spotting if something was wrong with the cash points.
Let's get some other news now. And police say a 5-year-old boy who died from serious injuries earlier this week in Coventry had been stabbed. The boy was named today as David Mario Lazar, who was known to his family and friends as Mario. Police were called to his home in Poplar Road, Earlston, on Tuesday evening. His parents described him as the most beautiful child in the world who was always smiling. A 49-year-old woman arrested on suspicion of his murder has been sectioned under the Mental Health Act.
A woman has been jailed for 8 years for the manslaughter of her boyfriend in Burton. This is the moment that Kaylee Susan Mahood was arrested on Roslyston Road in Stapenhill for attempted murder last July after her boyfriend Oliver O'Toole died of stab wounds. She was handed her 8-year sentence at Stafford Crown Court after a trial found her guilty of manslaughter.
The Unite Union is angry that agency bin lorry drivers in Coventry are being offered more money than the city council workers currently staging strike action. Drivers in the city have been striking on selected days, demanding increased pay because they are skilled HGV drivers. The City Council says they're recruiting people on short-term contracts who are prepared to move to the area while drivers are on strike for 8 weeks. They've asked Unite to suspend their action or provide a minimum service while negotiations continue.
Labour's candidate to contest the Birmingham Erdington seat after the death of Jack Dromey has been selected. Paulette Hamilton is Birmingham City Council's Cabinet Member for Health and Social Care and is also a nurse. If she wins the by-election, she'll become the city's first ever black MP. Mr Dromey died early this month, aged 73.
The Chief Constable of the West Midlands says this year will be his last in the job as he's planning to retire from the force. Sir Dave Thompson took over the top job in January 2016. He did 6 years as Deputy Chief Constable after 2 decades with Greater Manchester Police.
He says he'll bow out sometime after overseeing the policing of Birmingham's Commonwealth Games, but says it's been an honour to serve the West Midlands. He made today's surprise announcement to our correspondent Andy Bevan.
Sir David Thompson might be the West Midlands' most senior police officer, but he still prefers people to call him Dave. He's been just as much at home leading the Birmingham Pride March as he has giving evidence to MPs in Westminster on issues of serious crime. But this morning, as we met to talk about the Commonwealth Games, the rise in violent crime and policing post-pandemic, he revealed that this, his 7th year in the top job, will be his last.
Really exciting year this year, our big focus on Commonwealth Games. I did the Commonwealth Games 20 years ago in Manchester. It felt a really good time to take the force past that point. But then it will be the right time for a new Chief Constable. And as much as I love West Midlands Police and as much as I love policing, that time's about the right time for new leadership. And after Commonwealth Games is a good time to make a change at the top of the force.
The Chief Constable was part of a West Midlands delegation to the 2018 Commonwealth Games in Australia's Gold Coast. They weren't his first games, as he says he oversaw them during his time in Manchester. But Birmingham's, he says, will be globally significant.
It will probably be the first major sporting event in the world of its size with spectators. So the eyes of the world are very much going to be on here. On our busiest days, we'll see about 3,000 police officers. About half of those will be from West Midlands Police, bringing officers from across the country. We are going to deliver a safe and friendly games, part of what we're doing. We want it to be part of the experience, but it is a massive operation that has begun already as we keep our eye on the Queen's Baton Relay moving around the world.
The West Midlands has seen a drop in some crimes like burglary, but others, including sexual assault and violence, are on the rise. Dave Thompson puts that down to a grouping together of various offences into the same category, plus an increase in reporting of them.
Some of that increase is really positive. Actually, seeing sexual offences reporting to the police rise is a good thing because most of that is coming out of domestic environments. And it's the same with a lot more of the violence. If you think also about things we've been dealing with recently, the concerns and issues around, for example, spiking in the nighttime economy, then it's great we're seeing more of that reported. So I think, we occasionally might look at crimes like violence. They're not the same as crimes like burglary or car crime, where, that figure moving up or down is a good indication of what's happening. Actually, some of these areas where we see reporting are incredibly positive, and we would want to encourage more of that.
What does policing look like in the West Midlands post-pandemic?
I'm extremely pleased we're past the enforcement phase of the pandemic, because I think that really stretched the relationships with the police and the public at times. I think we all clapped for carers at the start, didn't we? And we became a bit weary of the restrictions, and frankly, the officers in West Midlands Police felt that weariness from the public. I think we are still at a bumpy phase in terms of things we're seeing in society. So we are seeing things like football matches become more violent. We're seeing more disorder nationally around things like football and sporting events. We've seen a bit of that in the nighttime economy. So we've not quite settled down yet, I think, in this world. We probably will see more growth of crimes being reported to us in things like domestic abuse. That's grown dramatically through the pandemic. And the final thing, I think things not settling down are also there in acquisitive crime. So vehicle crime, we know there's a semiconductor shortage that's affecting vehicle production. Unsurprisingly, we're starting to see more vehicles stolen because of that global shortage.
The Chief Constable says he'll stay on past the Commonwealth Games, but he expects his successor to be in place by the end of this year, whoever that may be.
It's a very exciting job, and whoever gets to sit in this seat will be enthused. It keeps you busy every day, and actually this is a really exciting police force and a really exciting area to work in.
It certainly is. And the time is coming up to 12 minutes past 6. You're watching ITV News Central, and still to come on the programme. Beautiful sounds, how Coventry is celebrating the cathedral's 60th anniversary.
And when it comes to our weekend's weather, one of the days is better than the other. Join me later to find out which one it is.
Hundreds of miles of our roads have been turned into smart motorways, which use technology to keep vehicles flowing. However, critics say it's contributed to the number of deaths on the road.
The M6 and the M42 have sections of smart motorways. This month, the government announced a pause in their rollout while safety concerns are investigated. ITV's Tonight programme looks at how dangerous they are and hears from Leicestershire campaigner Meera Naran. Amani Khan reports.
A sensible way of keeping traffic flowing, or a dangerous scheme that puts motorists and their passengers at risk. Across the country, there are now about 375 miles of smart motorway, including 235 miles without a hard shoulder. All lane-running smart motorways use overhead electronic signs to close lanes if there's an obstruction ahead, but there have been safety concerns for some time.
We were all broken. Dev was literally the glue to us all, and to lose him, it was devastating.
Meera Naran's 8-year-old son was killed on the stretch of a smart motorway in May 2018. Dev from Leicestershire died on the M6 after a lorry struck his grandfather's car on the hard shoulder, which was being used as a live lane. Meera has since proposed 18 changes to smart motorways, including more emergency refuge areas, which the government has adopted. She's now pushing for better education.
The benefits of the smart motorway is the technology, it's the variable speed limits, it's the lay-bys, which are indented and away from the live traffic. However, the emergency refuge areas need to be close enough and the technology needs to work. I would really like to see some sort of educational platform or solution that can provide basic car care information, basic road use information, but also highlight the changes in the highway code.
But a contributing factor to the deaths on our motorways is dangerous driving.
He's now removing the empty beer cans from 1, 2, 3, 4 beer cans so far.
One man was caught drinking beer as he drove his van up the M1 in November 2020. The driver was fined and disqualified from driving for 12 months. PC Lee says speeding is a particular problem on the smart motorway, with thousands of people ignoring the limits.
Over my years of road policing, I've been to several collisions where people have ignored something that was telling them what they needed to do, and it's ended in catastrophe.
Along with the government's pause in the rollout of new smart motorways, existing stretches will be upgraded with better technology and resources, and they've committed £900 million to ensure drivers feel safe. There will also be an additional 150 refuge spaces installed nationwide.
We've got to see it materialise as quickly as possible. We cannot go on with the current situation. It is far too dangerous. Perhaps in 20 years' time, when a much greater proportion of cars have safety technology that warns about a vehicle ahead or actually physically brakes the car, then there may be a case for smart motorways.
As safety data is gathered over 5 years, it will mean these controversial carriageways will be with us for some time. But during that period, if the technology and the drivers that use them are smart enough, safety will be improved. Amani Khan, ITV News.
And you can hear more views on smart motorways hitting the brakes. That's tonight on ITV from 7:30.
The locations of 10 COVID-19 memorial gardens across Birmingham have been confirmed. The designs for the gardens, one for each of the city's constituencies, were revealed last March. The first one will be in Erdington in recognition of Jack Dromey's work on the project.
Well, today is Holocaust Memorial Day, which encourages people to remember or learn about what happened during Nazi persecution and other genocides.
We can take a look now at our live camera shot of the council house in Sandwell, lit up in purple out of respect for the millions of people murdered during the Holocaust. This year marks the 77th anniversary of the liberation of Auschwitz, the largest Nazi death camp.
The ITV Evening News is on after us. With the details, here's Charlene White.
A plea to police for mercy from a man arrested after he tried to save a woman from being killed. The man drove his car into Yasmin Chakaifi's ex-husband as he was stabbing her to death, killing him. Now the driver wants police to drop their murder investigation. The surge in scams. Are we losing the fight against online text and phone fraud? Plus,
Essex girl, like, isn't it in the dictionary?
how Essex is trying to shake off its Towie image. Join us for those stories and more from 6:30.
The first performance of a new piece of music will take place in Coventry this evening to mark the 60th anniversary of the city's cathedral, 80 years after the original building was destroyed during the Second World War.
We filmed some of the rehearsals for Ghosts in the Ruins, and let's have a listen before we go live to Coventry. Captivating sounds, aren't they? Well, Mark Goff is in Coventry for us tonight. And Mark, not long to go now until it all starts.
Yeah, that's right. 60 years since Coventry Cathedral was consecrated, and in honour of that, this special piece of music has been composed. It's called Ghosts in the Ruins, as you say. The first half of the performance will actually be inside, in the new cathedral as it was, but the second half will be in the ruins out here. All the choristers will come out and the audience will come out as well. It's been composed by Nitin Sawhney, and we spoke to him earlier to ask him what his thoughts were behind the composition.
There are a lot of community choirs taking part, and I really think people will take a sense of being connected to each other, connected to the city, and also connected to the globe in a more universal way. The cathedral is a symbol of resilience, of actually transcending the bombing of the Second World War, but it also stands as a kind of meeting point for all the community.
Of course, Coventry Cathedral is well known for the sentiment of reconciliation and tolerance and togetherness, and that's very much part of this this composition. Martin Sutherland has joined us. He's from the Coventry City of Culture. Thanks for being here.
Hi, you're welcome.
Tell us a bit more about it, because it's so atmospheric, this piece of music, isn't it? And so atmospheric for it to be heard here.
Oh, it's kind of extraordinary, really. And Nitin Sawhney's been working with community choirs, amazing local poets, brilliant video designers to create something really special, which definitely celebrates Coventry's past, but also talks about its future as well. So yeah, it's going to be really beautiful tonight. We're so proud to be hosting it this evening and to be welcoming so many people to it.
Yeah, because of course, you know, when we talk of Coventry Cathedral, often we talk about the Blitz, which is dreadful. We talk about the links to Dresden as well, of course. And this piece of music, I think that's important to Coventry, isn't it? Reconciliation, tolerance. Yeah. And how apt do you think it is that it's going to be performed here in the ruins, which were bombed out?
Oh, and it's special, and it's part of our story of our city of culture here is actually to celebrate this a city of sanctuary, a city of peace, reconciliation, a global city. And so tonight's work will capture that and will hopefully communicate to the wider world that how special this city really is.
And great, of course, in the City of Culture. We're coming. Well, the 12-month end is in May, isn't it? But it's going to continue. Yeah. How pleased you to have this as part of this celebrations?
Oh, it's amazing. I mean, it's exactly the type of thing that City Culture should be about: telling big stories, global stories with local people, capturing people's imagination locally. And we're immensely proud that Nitin was willing to work with us and the city, but I'm particularly proud of what the local artists have been doing to make this possible as well. So yeah, it's an extraordinary night for us. Yeah, that's right. Of course, it's local choirs are taking part as well, aren't they? Yeah, super. Martin, thanks ever so much for joining us. If you want to come tonight, I'm going to have to disappoint you, I'm afraid. It's a sellout, which of course is great news. It's going to be performed tonight, tomorrow night, on Saturday. The good news is it is being televised. It'll be shown sometime in the year. We don't know which broadcast has picked it up yet.
It sounds amazing. For now, Mark, thank you very much. Now, though, let's get a quick bit of sport. And Derby County Football Club has been given an extra month to prove they have enough money to survive until the end of the season. The EFL and club administrators agreed the move. It means that the club will be given extra time to continue discussions with bidders who are interested. Derby County has not yet commented on the developments.
Team England has announced the first athletes on its swimming team for the Birmingham 2022 Commonwealth Games, which includes Staffordshire's Adam Peaty. The triple Olympic gold medalist and three-time Commonwealth swimming champion, born in Uttoxeter, will compete at the new Sandwell Aquatic Centre throughout the summer. He'll be representing his home country in his home region and will be one of 400 Team England athletes at the Games.
And the new season of Formula E racing begins tomorrow in Saudi Arabia. And as always, there is West Midlands' interest in the series.
Jake Dennis from Nuneaton goes into the season driving for Avalanche Andretti as one of the dark horses for the World Championship title. He finished third in the drivers' standings during his rookie season last year and was denied his title after crashing out in the final race in Berlin.
Yeah, just trying to get everyone up to speed. You know, Saudi's a really difficult track. It's the first race of the year, and obviously there's a lot of tension behind everyone. Everyone's always a bit more nervous, so just making sure we're all up to speed, know our understanding of the job, and try and do the best job we can when it comes to Friday and Saturday.
Nice.
I'm just looking at the weather.
Yeah. Well, the man...
Saudi weather, sunshine.
The man to tell us about the weather is here.
Yes, and welcome, Pablo. I know you normally present GMB, but...
I do.
Is that chair nice and warm for you?
It is.
Excellent.
And I'm also liking the later start time as well. Because I'm usually there.
I've got a question for you both very quickly before we go to the weather. The average cloud, the average cumulus cloud, a Simpsons cloud, nice fluffy white one, how much do you think it weighs? What the Met Office says it weighs? I'm going to throw this one to you. Give me a figure.
In grams,
in
kilograms?
tons.
Tons.
50 tons.
50 tons? You're wrong. How much?
Half.
Half a ton. You're so close, Sam. It actually weighs about 1 million tons, the average one. Let's find out more about the weather. Why not just after this?
Making the most of it, whatever the weather. Octopus Energy sponsors ITV Central Weather.
I really do hope you enjoyed today's weather. It stayed dry, a little bit of cloud, but fortunately the winds weren't too strong as well. Beautiful picture sent in by Doreen. This is, of course, the Iron Bridge, and the gorge that the Iron Bridge spans was actually carved out in the Ice Age. Wow. And this next picture, as you can see, has been sent in by Sally. It's another pretty picture. Sally from Worcestershire. Now, moving on, when it comes to our weather story for the weekend, we do have subtle changes. We still have the influence of high pressure, but this cold front moves over us, so it's going to be a cloudy day, and it's going to give us a couple of hours of drizzle. Now, look how tight the isobars are behind that. It's going to be a breezy day as well. And by the time we get into the overnight story, because it's going to be quite chilly, we could see some frost and fog fall forming Saturday night into Sunday. By the time we get into Sunday, we've still got that ridge with us, so it's going to be cloudy, but it remains dry, which is great news, and I think we'll see a little bit of a rise in temperatures. I did mention this system over the course of the weekend. I mentioned it yesterday, saying we could see some significant rain, but it looks now as though it's going to stay to the northern part of the UK and pretty much miss us. So by the time we get into the overnight story, skies will start to clear. It remains dry. Pockets of mist and fog to lower levels, not to high levels, nothing too dramatic, and maybe the odd frost patch as well. Temperatures below freezing. Waking up tomorrow morning, beautiful start to the day, but it's going to cloud over fairly quickly from the west. It should remain dry over the course of tomorrow, and we see these winds coming up from the southwest, always a warm part of the world to swing in from, and temperatures climbing to 10 degrees.
Octopus Energy sponsors ITV Central Weather.
Now, just before we go, let's go back to our story in Coventry, where a special piece of music will be performed tonight to mark the 60th anniversary of the city's cathedral.
Yeah, we heard some rehearsals for Ghosts in the Ruins earlier on. Let's hear a bit more of it now.
It is quite haunting, isn't it? Beautiful.
It is, especially because they've still got the old ruins of the cathedral that was, of course, destroyed in the Blitz.
Next to the new one, which is
next to the new one.
fabulous. Yeah, it looks really well restored.
Absolutely magical. Absolutely loved it.
Yeah, and they got the good weather for it.
Certainly have.
Yeah, nice
No
and
rain.
dry. That's it from the team. Have a nice evening. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.